how I finally gained weight. This is my story. My name is Dr. Story. I've been a chiropractor for over 23 years. I've been an endurance athlete all my life. And this is a story of how I finally gained weight. Now, this video is specific to people who maybe are thin, they have high metabolisms, they can't seem to gain weight. This is how I solved my problem. So a little backstory. In my 30s, I used to do triathlons, and my workout routine consisted of twice a week in the morning, I swam for an hour at a local pool, and then I came home, took a shower, went to work. At lunchtime, I'm fortunate that I have a 2-hour lunch, so I would go for either a half hour, 45 minute run at lunchtime, and I did that twice a week. Then the other days, I would ride my bike. I would ride my bike on the weekends, long distances. During the week, I would find ways to do about a 2-hour ride. So I was doing about 10 to 12 hours of cycling in addition to running and in addition to swimming. And then on top of that, at nighttime, I would do stretching and yoga and stuff like that. So at the time in my 30s, 30 to 35, I remember in this age group, I remember this because I have it written down. I weighed 135 pounds. That was my top weight. That was the weight I could get to. I'm 5'10", and at the time I was measured at 7% body fat. Now, I'm not saying that as a way to show off, because if you're thin, you know what I'm talking about. That was the maximum I could gain. It just didn't happen. I was one of those people where, you know, I didn't have lats, I had ribs. You could see the ribs on my back. I was extremely thin. When I was a cyclist, people would say, oh, you're a total climber, because I only weighed 135 pounds at most. I remember in my triathlon years, I had a wetsuit, and you know the wetsuits are designed for certain sizes. If I gained weight above 135 pounds, I actually had trouble fitting into the wetsuit. So that's how I knew how to keep my weight down. At the time, I was also eating very well. I was eating what's called the zone diet, and that's not important that you know that, but what I was doing was I was eating lean proteins, a lot of polyunsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, olive oil, avocado, that type of thing. And I was only sprinkling my diet with carbohydrates, which consisted of vegetables and fruits, essentially. So in a nutshell, what I was doing was I was eating extremely clean, I was eating extremely lean, and I was working out a lot. And I had a hard time maintaining my body weight. One of the consequences of being light is two things. The first is, as a cyclist, man, you could really go up hills fast. The challenge was when I worked out a lot and I was eating that clean, I noticed that I did frequently, maybe twice, 3 times a year, catch colds. I was susceptible to catching colds. So here I am in my younger years, and I think that more training equals better results, so I'm training really hard. I've got kids. The kids are like little petri dishes with the bacteria and the viruses. So I'm a low % body fat, but I'm getting sick a lot. And it was not uncommon for me to show up at a race, and a week previously I had a bad cold. So I never really performed as well as I had hoped. Now let's fast forward to now. As of right now, I've gained 15 pounds. So now I weigh 150 pounds. I no longer weigh 135. And I've been measured recently at 11% body fat. And I have to say, I feel a lot better. I feel as though I have more energy. I don't feel I'm on the brink of always catching a cold. You can't see my ribs anymore from the back. That's actually a good thing. And you don't have people that are angry at you. It was very common when if you have a propensity towards thinness, people get very, very angry at you. You know, they always will halfway close one eye, tilt their head. You know, they close one eye, tilt their head and said, I'll bet you can eat anything you want. And they're mad. So I don't get that anymore. So it's actually, I'm much happier now at the weight I am. So how did I do this? Well, number one, I stopped doing triathlons. I stopped swimming and I stopped running. I never really loved running. I would run for maybe 45 minutes and it was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with it. Now, if you love running, keep running. But the thing is that I was running, I was swimming, I was cycling, and it was just a lot of endurance. And the running, I felt, was catabolic. It was breaking me down. I always felt when I ran that I was an inch shorter or something like that. I just never felt good running. And there was that factor. So I stopped running. Number two, I stopped swimming. Now, swimming is a great exercise, and I felt, after I used to swim, I remember feeling that there was an internal warmth in my body, almost like someone turned up the thermostat. There was a fire inside me, and I'd come to work even after eating a big breakfast, and I was hungry. And so the exercise of swimming was a full body workout, whereas cycling, running, you feel like you worked out, but it's really the legs and the heart, not your entire body. But I felt like an internal warmth. I stopped swimming. So number two, I started actually doing, we could call it lifting weights, but I wasn't really lifting weights. I was doing more calisthenics, body weight exercises, push-ups, pull-ups. I do have some weights in my garage, which I'll do lift weights, do squats, lunges, calf raises, all those types of things. So I started doing things that were actually more anabolic. I started building muscle, and I started actually gaining just a wee bit of muscle. Now, because I'm genetically thin, you're not going to be a huge person, but the thing is, I started actually building muscle, and I started getting muscle weight, and along with muscle comes the fat. So I did that. That's another step that you can try if you are thin and you want to try to gain some weight. Number three, and this is probably going to be controversial, so bring it on, bring on your comments, was I know what it takes to gain weight, and you have to eat more carbs. Most of the popular diets restrict carbs. Most of the ways in which people gain weight is by eating carbohydrates. So I started eating a lot more in the percentages of carbohydrates. I started cutting down how much fat and how much protein I was eating, and just ate more carbs. You have some lasagna, spaghetti with marinara sauce, and over a period of years, I started gaining weight, and that's one way to do it. There's lots of ways to do it, but I just started kind of enjoying food a lot more and not making food such a science, and actually just eating good tasting carbohydrate types of food. So I'm not crazy enough, I think, to eat pizza, spaghetti, Sprite, that type of thing. That doesn't seem healthy, but I would try to eat more on the side of healthy carbohydrates. But if there was a plate of spaghetti in front of me, which I normally never ate, I'd eat it. And what do you know? You start eating more carbs, guess what happens? You start gaining weight. And now, in terms of exercise, I used to be a little bit crazy about it and work at it a lot for competition. And now I exercise mainly for health reasons, and just quite frankly, it's just fun for me. And now I'm competing in cyclocross racing. And for cyclocross racing, the races only last about 40 minutes, maximum an hour. So you're not doing these long, drawn-out exercises or training for things that take a long period of time. Also, cyclocross is a little bit more explosive, and so you need to have a little bit of strength. And so I do some exercises in my garage, pull-ups, push-ups, squats, lunges, that type of thing with some extra weight, and that seems to keep my weight up. So if you're thin and you're trying to gain weight, or if you're an endurance athlete and you have trouble keeping weight on, that's how I did it. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Please become a Patreon. That helps support this channel. And if you're a Patreon and you have a specific question, I will make a video just for you.